After downloading Micrometa app, when you double-click on the icon, you will find yourself in this first window, in which you will be asked to select your home folder. The home folder is your own personal local repository for all the files that have been generated using Micrometa app, so it is important to select a good location for it. I recommend that you keep the suggested location for this folder, but you can always change it if you want to. When you click Continue, then you will find yourself in the main window of the app, in which you will be asked to decide if you want to manage the hardware associated with an instrument or manage the settings related to a specific image acquisition session. In this case, we're going to inspect an example Microscope.JSON file, and so we're going to click on Manage Instrument. Here in the third window, you will be asked to select which tier you want to use to manage your instrument. There are 3 different tiers that have been defined so far. Tier 1 is appropriate for minimum information and for documenting qualitative or basic quantitative types of experiments. Type 2 is appropriate for advanced quantification, and Tier 3 is used to help you fully document an instrument in case you have produced it, developed it, or manufactured it. So most people will be content with using Tier 1 or Tier 2. If you want to know more about the definition of these tiers, you can click on this link that will bring you to our Nature Methods publication describing the 4D OMI microscopy metadata specifications and the associated tiers. In this case, we will inspect the microscope file we have downloaded following the instructions in the Google Doc, and this microscope was documented using Tier 3. So we will click on Tier 3. And now I will show you how you can import from file an existing Microscope.JSON file you have downloaded from the web or received from a colleague. So when you get to this window, you will be able to select different options for managing an instrument file. You can create a new inverted or upright microscope file completely from scratch. Alternatively, you can load an existing file. This can be done either using import from file if the microscope file has not been yet saved into your home folder, or alternatively, you can open a microscope file that is already saved in your home folder by clicking on Load from the local home folder. In this case, we have downloaded an example file from the web, and therefore we're going to import it from file. When you click on Import from File, you will be presented with this window, and if you click on it, you will be then asked to select the location of your desired file. In this case, I have saved it in this Micrometa app tutorial folder, so it is ready to be opened. When the outline of this window becomes kind of orangey green and this button is highlighted, we are ready to continue. So we can click Continue, and then the app will open the Microscope.JSON file. In this case, the Microscope.JSON file describes a complex turf epifluorescence instrument with several hardware parts. To be sure that we can see all the parts of the instrument that might be hidden on the right of the canvas, we can enter Command- to zoom out. This way, we can navigate in the canvas using the scroll bar at the bottom and the lateral scroll bar if needed. Also, you will see that there is a Hardware Explorer toolbar on this side. The toolbar can be collapsed to make it smaller if you want more space to look at the microscope, or it can be expanded to access the menus that contain the icons representing different hardware components that can be added to the microscope. So, for example, in the magnification menu, you will find additional objectives. In fluorescence light source, you will find light sources to add, and for example, in the fluorescence light path menu, you will find filter cubes and filters to be added to the canvas, and so on. At this point, I want to highlight the information that is written in this upper left corner of the canvas. This summarizes some basic information about this instrument, which can be edited by clicking on Edit Microscope. And here, this is an example of what the various data entry windows generally look like. So, in all of the data entry windows, we will have different tabs up here and sometimes different nested tabs down here to be able to navigate different sections of the metadata. In this case, we have a general information tab with the name of the instrument, and then we have information about the microscope stand with the manufacturer information of the microscope stand and additional information about the stand. This information is summarized up here, and this allows us at every moment to understand what microscope we are looking at. Another thing that we can do to understand what's going on here is we can click on one of these icons, and again we will see that this is information about a specific objective, and we can look at the general information, the manufacturer information, and the objective specific information. In every case, you will see that different components will have different tabs in which different information will be stored. They will always have general and manufacturer spec information, and then they will have specific information about each of the components. Another example can be found under Filter. Here, you will find general information about the filter, manufacturer specs information about the filter, and then specific information about the general characteristic and the transmittance range of that filter. Once we have inspected this file, if we think it is going to be useful to us and we want to save it in our home folder, we can save it by clicking here. And when we do this, we have two options. We can save it as it is, and we will keep the same ID that is already present in this file. Or, if we want to create a clone of this Microscope.JSON file to save information about our own instrument, then we should save as new so that we can create a new ID and have a brand new Microscope file to further edit.